Hey gang, I'm going to do this video here even though I really don't want to do a video, and really wasn't going to do a video on this because it's so volatile. But I just decided to go ahead and do this because I feel like maybe something good can come out of it. So first I got to say a couple things to set the stage for what happened here. Just gonna sit down on the dock here. So here's what the deal is. I'm a former professional trapper, and been involved in trapping, in defending trapping, and on boards and so forth. I haven't bought a trapping license in a couple of years, but I still support trapping and understand the value of trapping and wildlife management and predator control and so forth. And while 99% of the trappers are ethical and they love animals just like the rest of us, there's always a few people that are lazy or sloppy or unethical and unscrupulous, and that's what happened here. That's what this is about. And trapping is sort of the low-hanging fruit, I guess you would say, because it's so misunderstood. And animal rights activists, the Humane Society of the United States, the PETAs, you get those organizations have made billions of dollars by misrepresenting trapping and what it's about, and spreading ridiculous myths about trapping as far as non-target species, just absurd myths like an animal will chew off its foot to get out of a trap and things like that. They're just dumb, but unfortunately the general public doesn't know any better, and they accept what they're told and what they hear. And these organizations make a ton of money off of trapping and use it to fight other kinds of hunting and wildlife conservation. Now add that to the fact that there is a huge contingent of people who consider themselves to be wolf lovers. Now, if they were wolf lovers, as I am, then they would be in favor of conservation and management of wolves and of the species that wolves prey on. For example, here in Minnesota, the moose population has been decimated by a high wolf population, and the courts have continued to inhibit Minnesota hunters and trappers from managing the wolf population and bringing that population down so the moose can get some breathing room, so the deer can get some breathing room, and everything's out of whack. And we're not being good stewards of the land because the moose are losing all their calves. Almost all their calves are being killed by wolves every year, and the population continues to decline. And it's just plain wrong. We are stewards of this good earth, and part of being stewards is managing predator populations. It's good for humans, it's good for the ungulate populations, and bears and wolves should be managed. So if you're one of those people who has this, you think you're a wolf lover, but you are opposed to harvesting a surplus of the wolf population, you're not a wolf lover. You are in love with a utopian concept or perception that's not reality of wolf management and wolves. Wolves are very efficient killers, and if they're not managed, they can decimate populations. So they really need to be managed. And if you consider yourself a wolf lover and you're watching this, I want to tell you, if you're really a wolf lover, you should be in favor of some control of wolf populations, because it's good for wolves and it's good for the environment, it's good for biodiversity. And if you are in love with some sort of perception of what you want wolf situations to be, for example here in Minnesota, then you need to reconsider your position on this. Okay, so how does all this fit in with what happened yesterday morning? So I'm going to tell you the story and explain to you exactly what happened. Unfortunately, this is a very uncommon problem, but it happened to me yesterday. Now, I live in an area where there's a lot of wolves, and I have a bear camp and guide bear hunters in an area where there's a lot of bears and there's a lot of wolves. And they interact all the time, and I see them. I see the wolf tracks. I see the wolf scat. I see what the wolves are eating and so forth, and have a lot of experience with wolves and with encounters with wolves. But what happened yesterday was completely different. One of the things that I do in June is I go out to where all my bear hunting areas are, and on a four-wheeler and in a truck, and I have to go down all the roads and trails. And there's trees that fall down in the winter. They get heavy laden with snow, and they tip over and get across the trails. There's beavers build beaver dams across the trails. I got to figure out how to get around them. And anyway, there's work to be done. There's several days of work in the spring to clear the trails so I can get to my bear hunting areas. And that's what I have been doing for the last few days. And as I was going along on a four-wheeler, I was about to cross a small creek, and all of a sudden I saw some trees just waving back and forth. And I shut the motor off and I looked at it and I thought, okay, there must be a bear in there. And I could hear a heavy breathing and a huffing and puffing and a snapping and cracking as this animal was just breaking off small trees with its teeth. And my first thought was, is this a bear that's feeding on hazelnuts or something? It's too early for the hazelnuts to be ready, but that's the way they feed on hazelnuts, is they just chop off the branches with their teeth and then eat the nuts. But there was no hazelnuts. It was all a kind of willows and stuff like that. So I just watched real close. I started videoing, thinking, okay, if there's a bear, I'm going to try to get some video of it. And then it just went on for quite a while. And then all of a sudden I saw the flash of gray fur, and here I realized, as I just saw a flash of a wolf, and I'm like, holy smokes, it's a wolf. What in the world is he doing right there? And that's when I thought, he's got to be caught in something or trapped, or he's got himself wedged between two trees or something and can't get out. So I slowly sneaked down there across the creek and started to creep up so I could get a better look at him. He's trapped. What are you doing? What are you doing? Got his foot in a snare. And see, maybe, is he feeding on a deer kill or something like that there or something? And as soon as I got down there, then I realized that he had the area all tore up because he had caught his foot in a snare. And this snare obviously was illegally set. It's multiple game law violations here. And it's very unfortunate that little slob trappers, there's a small number of them that give the whole process of trapping and fur harvesting, just like any sport or anything like that, there's a few that can really taint the whole process. And I'm 90% sure I know who this guy is. His trap was not tagged. The snare was around the left front foot of the wolf, and there's no damage to his foot, fortunately. But so I drove back out with my four-wheeler about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile, to the top of a hill where I could get cell service, and I called the tip line of the DNR, told them what I had, and it took about an hour and a half, I suppose, before they got back to me, and they got a game warden out there. And we were able to go down there with a big board with a slot in the bottom of it, and he had wire cutters. And I'm telling you, guys, if you're a game warden and you're dealing with snares at all at any time, you need to have a C7 cable cutters in your truck. Every game warden in Minnesota should have, any state that has snaring, which is the majority of them, you should be carrying a C7 cable cutters in your truck, because you can snip a snare right off, lickety split, without trying to do it with the wire cutters. So anyway, we managed to get this wolf on the other side of the board, and then get that snare cut off his foot and get him released. And he didn't seem to be in no damage to his foot, fortunately, and he took off at a dead run. He was pretty tired, and fortunately he hadn't been in there very long, because he had just started tearing up that area, and he had obviously not been in that snare, but must have got in it that night. This was about 7:15 in the morning when this happened. So the last thing on earth I want to do is bring bad publicity to good trappers who follow the law. But this person broke multiple game law violations. They made a homemade snare without a name tag on it, didn't have any information on it at all, which is illegal. It was obviously set in the summer. So either it was set now, this time of the year, it was probably set for coyotes last fall is my guess, and whoever just was lazy and didn't go back and get it, which is ridiculous, because things like this can happen, but also it's not like these things are free. It just doesn't make any sense. But unfortunately, this is how it happened, and fortunately I came along and released that wolf. And there's a lot of people out there that are wolf haters, and like I said, there's some people that consider themselves wolf lovers. There's a lot of people who probably will watch this and say, you missed an opportunity to kill a wolf or let a wolf die, and I'm not that way. I'm not willing to do that. So if you want to leave a comment on this, be civil, be educated about it. If you're going to attack people or attack trappers or hunters or wildlife managers or biologists, I'm just going to delete your comments, so don't bother. If I have to, I'll disable the comments. But anyway, that's how it happened, and I feel like it had a good outcome. If you're a trapper, don't be careless about this. For goodness sakes, get out there and get those traps at the end of the season. Make sure everything's gathered in. We don't want things like this to happen. It's just not good for nature as a whole. It's not good for the earth, and it's certainly not good for publicity. So thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe and like the video. Have a great day.